The usually quiet neighborhood where Frankie lived was suddenly filled with the cries of a tiny kitten. Many people had tried to catch the kitten, but every attempt failed miserably. Its cries were sad and desperate, but it wouldn't let anyone close. One morning, Frankie spotted the kitten sleeping by his house and simply scooped it up. He quickly rushed to the nearest vet, expecting a routine checkup and nothing more. But the vet's eyes widened in disbelief the moment he examined the tiny creature, and he shouted, "No way! This can't be true!" Frankie stood frozen in the vet's office. He stared at the veterinarian, waiting for an explanation. The vet scratched its head, and his face was getting paler by the second. What can't be true?" Frankie eventually asked. He frowned as he confusedly looked at the vet, who was still standing as if he was in shock. "Hello? Dr. Hudson?" Suddenly, the vet bewilderedly looked up. He looked Frankie in the eyes and simply said, "I'm sorry," as he walked out of the room. Frankie couldn't believe what had just happened. He looked around him, but he was all alone. Then he ran after the vet, but as he entered the waiting room, the receptionist was already on her way to him. She looked just as shocked as Frankie when she asked, "What happened in there? Dr. Hudson cancelled all his appointments for today." Frankie began to stutter. He had no idea what just happened. He just knew he had to find the veterinarian, and quickly. But why was the kitten crying so loudly? What did the vet see? And why did he leave the room? The little kitten's cries were getting a bit out of hand as they held people up in the middle of the night. They were so loud and shrill that they could be heard from meters away. One particular night, the kitten meowed right underneath Frankie's window. As he lay with his pillow over his head, he vowed to catch the kitten as fast as he could. The next morning, he stepped outside with a basket and a blanket in his hand, ready to catch the little runner. But as he turned the corner to look underneath his window, he saw the kitten fast asleep beneath a bush. He approached the kitten as quietly as he could and scooped it off the ground in one swift motion. The kitten began to meow loudly again as Frankie placed it inside the box. It tried to jump out, but he could close the lid just in time. He quickly brought the kitten back into his house. He slowly opened the lid to get a good look at the kitten, and as he did, he realized it looked way worse than he had anticipated. Its fur was matted and dirty, and the kitten's eyes were gooey with snot. The little kitten's meows were deafening, so Frankie decided he had to get the animal out of his house quickly. He placed the box with the kitten inside in his car and closed the door. He had a few more things to do, but he couldn't bear to listen to the meows anymore. He ran inside again and cancelled all his appointments. He was certain dealing with the kitten would take all day, and he was right. When he finally arrived at the veterinarian clinic, he realized it was very, very busy. "I'm sorry, but we're fully booked," the receptionist said with a heavy heart. "I'll see if the clinic in the next town has an open spot for you." The receptionist made a few calls and told Frankie there was a clinic with an open spot in half an hour, but the clinic was 40 minutes away. It seemed like Frankie's only chance, so he accepted the open spot and ran back to his car. This was going to be a tight squeeze. He just hoped he wouldn't come across a police car on the way. As he raced to the other clinic, Frankie's mind raced. He had no time for anything at this point, running red light after red light. His heart was pounding in his chest as he drove way over the speed limit. The cat was meowing loudly beside him, only fueling his tense feeling. Suddenly, he saw red and blue lights flickering behind him. Frankie notices flashing lights in his rearview mirror, fearing an imminent police stop. His grip tightens on the steering wheel as the glow intensifies, casting a harsh red and blue over the interior of his car. The possibility of getting caught for his series of traffic violations looms large, threatening to derail his urgent mission to the vet. Frankie's anxiety peaks as he imagines the severe consequences of his reckless driving. Thoughts of hefty fines, points on his license, or even arrest flash through his mind, mirroring the flashing lights behind him. His heart pounds in his chest, each beat echoing his fear as the kitten continues to meow beside him, oblivious to the potential trouble. An ambulance, not a police car, races past, providing an unexpected reprieve. Frankie's tense shoulders drop as he exhales a long-held breath, watching the vehicle disappear into the distance. The sudden relief is palpable, the weight of potential consequences lifting momentarily as he realizes he's been given a second chance to reach his destination without hindrance. The close call leaves Frankie relieved, but deeply shaken, vowing to drive more cautiously. He acknowledges the foolishness of his earlier haste, understanding now the risk was not worth it. With a renewed sense of purpose, he focuses on the road ahead, determined to get the kitten to the vet safely and without further incident. Frankie reflects on his reckless behavior and commits to being more careful. The realization that his actions could have endangered not just himself but others, including the kitten, weighs heavily on him. This moment of introspection marks a turning point as he acknowledges the need for caution over speed, understanding the true urgency lies in the safety of his fragile passenger. The drive continues. With a renewed sense of caution, Frankie resumes his journey to the clinic. The roads seem less daunting now, his resolve firming with each mile passed. The kitten's meows, though still persistent, no longer serve as a frantic soundtrack, but a reminder of the precious life he's vowed to protect, guiding his more measured pace. Frankie arrives just in time, his concern for the kitten overshadowing his previous scare. He parks with care, the clinic's sign a beacon of hope. Gathering the kitten, now more quiet than before, he rushes towards the entrance, his heart pounding not from fear, but from an anxious desire to get help. A hurried sign-in at the clinic's front desk emphasizes Frankie's anxiety for the kitten's health. He fumbles with the pen, his details scribbled hastily on the form. The receptionist's nod offers a small comfort, but his gaze keeps shifting to the box, hoping the wait won't be long. Frankie sits anxiously in the waiting room, hopeful yet nervous about the kitten's condition. He peers into the box, whispering reassurances, both to the kitten and himself. The room is filled with other pets and owners, but Frankie's world narrows to the soft mewling beside him, waiting for the vet to call them in. The vet's light-hearted welcome momentarily eases Frankie's tension. With a jovial tone, the vet jokes about the clinic being a noisy pet concert, making Frankie crack a smile for the first time in hours. This unexpected warmth chips away at the icy dread that had settled in his chest, offering a brief respite from his worries. Frankie details the kitten's distress and his journey to the clinic. He speaks of the cries that pierced the quiet of his neighborhood, the failed attempts to catch the elusive kitten, and his own frantic efforts to provide aid. The vet listens intently, nodding in understanding, a gesture that makes Frankie feel heard and reassured that he's taken the right steps. The vet starts checking the kitten, creating a sense of routine and normalcy. With practiced movements, the vet examines the kitten's eyes, ears, and fur, all the while explaining the process to Frankie. This professionalism and care transform the room from a place of uncertainty to one of hopeful action, grounding Frankie in the moment. The initial examination proceeds smoothly, offering Frankie a glimmer of hope. As the vet murmurs observations, noting the kitten's resilience, Frankie's heart clings to each positive word. This moment, though fleeting, is filled with the possibility of recovery and relief, hinting at a brighter outcome than he had dared to imagine. Frankie watches the vet's careful handling of the kitten, feeling a growing sense of trust. The gentleness with which each procedure is conducted speaks volumes, assuring Frankie that the kitten is in capable hands. This burgeoning trust in the vet's expertise eases the tight knot of worry in his stomach, allowing hope to seep through the cracks of his anxiety. Upon entering the examination room, Frankie is met with a vet's light-hearted joke about the kitten's vocal protests. The warm smile and casual demeanor of the vet momentarily cut through Frankie's anxiety, easing the tight knot of worry in his stomach. It's a welcome change from the tension of their journey, offering a brief respite as they prepare for the examination. Frankie quickly dives into the story of the kitten's discovery and its persistent cries that led him here. He recounts the failed attempts by neighbors to help and his own eventual success in bringing the kitten to the clinic. The vet listens attentively, nodding along, which helps Frankie feel understood and reassures him that he's taken the right steps. The vet carefully starts examining the kitten, running gentle hands over its small body, checking its eyes, ears and mouth. The methodical process brings a semblance of normalcy to the chaotic morning. Frankie watches closely, the vet's professionalism instilling a calm confidence that maybe, just maybe, everything might turn out fine. As the vet continues with the examination, murmuring observations and noting the kitten's responses, Frankie feels a spark of hope. The thoroughness of the checkup and the vet's composed manner suggest that the situation might not be as dire as he feared. It's a fleeting feeling, but it anchors him to the moment, to the possibility of good news. Watching the vet's careful handling of the kitten, Frankie's initial apprehension begins to dissolve, replaced by a burgeoning trust. Each gentle touch and kind word from the vet not only soothes the kitten, but also reassures Frankie. In this quiet room, with the vet's steady presence, Frankie dares to hope that they might just have found the help they so desperately needed. Frankie finds the vet's office abandoned, escalating the mystery. The once bustling room is eerily quiet, with no sign of Dr. Hudson or any staff. Confusion mounts as Frankie stands alone, the absence of the vet adding layers of questions to an already puzzling situation. The unexpected silence in the office serves as a stark contrast to the urgency Frankie feels. Approaching the front desk, Frankie encounters the receptionist, whose expression mirrors his shock. She reveals that Dr. Hudson has abruptly cancelled all his appointments for the day, leaving without explanation. This sudden news leaves Frankie even more bewildered, wondering what could have prompted such an immediate and drastic action from the vet. The sudden departure throws the clinic into disarray. Staff members whisper among themselves, their faces etched with confusion and concern. Frankie overhears snippets of conversations, none offering any clarity. The atmosphere is thick with uncertainty, reflecting the collective bewilderment of everyone present. Frankie feels a growing unease, realizing the seriousness of the vet's reaction. Frankie's determination to find the vet and understand the situation grows. He questions the receptionist further, but she has no more information to offer. Frankie's mind races with possibilities, each more concerning than the last. He knows he can't leave without answers, not just for his sake, but for the kitten's as well. The need for clarity becomes his driving force. Frankie leaves the clinic, puzzled by the vet's reaction and concerned for the kitten. The mystery deepens with every step he takes away from the office. With the kitten still in his care, he resolves to uncover the truth behind the vet's abrupt departure. The trail of questions leads him out into the bustling street, unsure of where to go next, but determined to find answers. As news of Dr. Hudson's disappearance spreads, the clinic's atmosphere spirals into chaos. Clients murmur in confusion, their anxiety palpable. Staff scramble to manage the growing unease, their attempts at reassurance falling short. Frankie watches the panic unfold, feeling the tension in the air thicken, a stark reminder of the gravity of the situation at hand. The receptionist, overwhelmed, announces the cancellation of all appointments, further fueling the confusion. Frankie overhears frustrated sighs and sees the disappointment on other clients' faces. This collective dismay adds another layer of urgency to the mystery, highlighting the widespread impact of the vet's abrupt departure on the community. Frankie and the clinic staff are left to ponder the seriousness of Dr. Hudson's reaction. The uncertainty of the situation weighs heavily on everyone, with whispered speculations filling the void of concrete information. Frankie feels a growing concern not just for the kitten's well-being, but also for the vet's, wondering what could have prompted such a drastic response. Amidst the confusion, Frankie's commitment to uncovering the truth about the kitten and the vet's reaction strengthens. He realizes that finding Dr. Hudson might be the only way to resolve the myriad of questions swirling in his mind. This determination lights a path forward, cutting through the uncertainty that has enveloped the clinic. With a heavy heart, Frankie sets out to find the vet, driven by concern and a need for answers. He steps out of the clinic, the weight of the situation settling on his shoulders. Despite the daunting task ahead, Frankie feels a sense of purpose, fueled by the need to ensure the safety and health of the kitten in his care. Frankie spots the vet in the distance, initiating a determined chase. Despite the crowded streets and his own racing heart, Frankie keeps his eyes locked on Dr. Hudson's retreating figure. The urgency of the situation propels him forward, weaving through the obstacles that separate them. Every step brings him closer to the answers he desperately seeks. Frankie's resolve leads him closer to Dr. Hudson, despite obstacles. Dodging pedestrians and street vendors, his focus narrows to the vet's hurried pace. As he gains ground, the distance between them shortens, turning his anxious pursuit into an imminent confrontation. Frankie's determination doesn't waver. The need for answers about the kitten drives him on. Frankie finally catches up to the vet, demanding answers. The unexpected encounter halts Dr. Hudson, who turns to face Frankie, a mixture of surprise and resignation in his eyes. "Why did you run?" Frankie asks, his voice firm yet filled with concern. The urgency in Frankie's plea for truth reflects the gravity of the situation and his need for understanding. Bracing for bad news, Frankie is taken aback by the vet's response. Dr. Hudson's eyes convey a complexity of emotions as he begins to explain, his words slow and measured. Frankie listens intently, prepared for the worst, yet hopeful for a resolution. The tension that has built up begins to shift, hinting at an unexpected turn in their conversation. In a moment of revelation, Dr. Hudson shares the true significance of the kitten's identity, linking it to a personal story. Frankie's anticipation turns to astonishment as he processes the information. The connection between the kitten and the vet's past adds a profound layer to their encounter, bridging the gap between mere professional obligation and a deeply personal concern. Dr. Hudson explains the kitten's incredible journey from another town, leaving Frankie in shock. The story unfolds of how the kitten, against all odds, found its way to Frankie's neighborhood, a tale mingling chance with fate. This revelation adds a layer of astonishment to Frankie's already bewildering day, reshaping his understanding of the situation entirely. Dr. Hudson shares his personal connection to the kitten, revealing it belongs to his grandmother. The depth of his emotional investment becomes clear, transforming the professional veneer of the veterinarian into a deeply personal narrative. Frankie listens, moved by the unexpected intertwining of their lives through the small, meowing creature that brought them together. Together, they rush to confirm the kitten's identity with Dr. Hudson's grandmother. Time seems to both speed up and slow down as they navigate the streets, driven by a shared urgency. The prospect of reuniting the kitten with its owner infuses their mission with a sense of purpose, binding Frankie and the vet in a mutual quest for closure. The drive to the grandmother's house is filled with anticipation and hope. Frankie feels the weight of the moment, understanding the impact the reunion could have. Each mile they cover brings them closer to a potentially joyous resolution, their anxious energy mingling with the possibility of bringing happiness to an awaiting heart. Upon arrival, the grandmother's excitement upon hearing about her lost kitten is palpable. Her reaction, a mix of disbelief and overwhelming joy, fills the room. The sight of her lost companion, now safely returned, sparks a heartfelt celebration of love and reunion. Frankie watches, touched by the profound joy his actions have helped to facilitate, marking a poignant moment in their journey. Frankie, Dr. Hudson, and the grandmother hurry back to the clinic with the kitten, their steps quick with purpose. The air is thick with anticipation as they navigate their way back, each of them aware of the significance of the moment ahead. The clinic, once a place of mystery and tension, now beckons as the setting for a joyful reunion. As they approach the clinic, the trio's eagerness grows palpably. Each step seems to echo their racing hearts, their faces lit with a blend of nervous excitement and hopeful joy. The impending reunion with the kitten has transformed into a beacon of happiness, pulling them forward with the promise of a heartwarming climax to their unexpected journey. Upon entering the clinic, the grandmother's emotional response to seeing the kitten is immediate and profound. Tears well in her eyes as she reaches out, her hands trembling with the weight of the moment. This heartfelt reaction underscores the deep bond between pets and their owners, touching the hearts of everyone present and marking a poignant turn in the story. The scene at the clinic, with its mix of veterinary professionals and pet owners, underscores the universal bond between humans and animals. As Frankie watches the grandmother with the kitten, he reflects on the journey that brought them to this point, feeling a deep connection to the broader community of those who cherish and care for pets. With the grandmother's joy filling the room, the final preparations for the kitten's reunion are made. Adjustments are done gently, ensuring everything is perfect for the moment of connection. This preparation, meticulous and filled with love, sets the stage for a climax that promises not just the joy of reunion, but a celebration of the enduring bond between pets and their people. The moment of recognition. As the grandmother gently picks up the kitten, its initial cries of confusion transform into soft purrs of recognition. The change is immediate and heartwarming, a testament to the deep bond shared between them. This moment of connection, where fear turns to comfort, marks the beginning of their reunion, filled with the promise of renewed companionship. The reunion marks the resolution of the mystery and the story's emotional peak. The journey, full of uncertainty and concern, culminates in a scene of pure joy and relief. For Frankie, witnessing this circle complete is a profound experience, symbolizing closure not just for the kitten's adventure, but for his own unexpected role in this heartwarming narrative. The grandmother's tears, flowing freely as she holds the kitten close, underscore the depth of her attachment. These tears, born of relief and happiness, speak volumes about the pain of separation and the joy of reunion. They wash away the fears of the past, leaving only the warmth of the present moment and the bright hope for the future. Frankie and Dr. Hudson stand back, observing the joyful reunion. A sense of accomplishment swells in their hearts, a shared happiness that comes from witnessing the culmination of their efforts. This moment of unity, brought about by their compassion and action, reflects the profound impact of kindness and the unexpected connections that enrich our lives. As the story concludes, the kitten, now safely back home, promises new adventures for all involved. The experience has forged new bonds and strengthened old ones, offering a glimpse into the powerful connections that can arise from moments of vulnerability. For Frankie, Dr. Hudson, and the grandmother, the journey with the kitten opens the door to new beginnings, each filled with hope and the promise of tomorrow.